Right now, someone less capable than you is stepping into opportunities that should have been yours. Not because they're smarter, not because they're more prepared, but because they move without hesitation. They speak as if doubt doesn't exist. They carry themselves like the outcome is already decided, and the world responds to that illusion of certainty as if it were truth. Meanwhile, you pause. You calculate. You wait for the perfect moment that never arrives, and in that hesitation, you quietly hand over power to people who simply act like they deserve it. This is the part no one tells you. Confidence isn't personality, it's positioning, it's a weapon, and if you don't learn how to wield it, you become the target of those who do. In this video, I will show you how to dismantle hesitation at its root, how to project certainty even before you feel it, and how to move in a way that forces the world to adjust to you. This isn't about motivation or empty confidence. It's about control. So if you're ready to stop waiting and start taking like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications, because what comes next will change how you carry yourself in every room you enter. Now let's break down how power really works when certainty becomes your identity. You think your hesitation is part of who you are. It isn't. It was installed slowly, quietly, through years of being corrected, rewarded, and conditioned to seek approval before action. Every time you waited for permission, every time you softened your voice to be accepted, every time you asked, "Is this okay?" you reinforced a version of yourself that survives by submission, not by control. That voice in your head that tells you to be careful, to not speak too directly, to not take up too much space that isn't wisdom. It's programming, and the system behind it is simple. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to manage. The more you seek validation, the more others control your behavior without ever touching you. Watch how it plays out in real life. Someone interrupts you mid-sentence. The old version of you smiles, pulls back, says, "Sorry, go ahead." You shrink to maintain harmony. But a different version exists. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't argue. He simply continues speaking, steady, uninterrupted, as if the interruption never happened. No apology, no adjustment. And something subtle shifts. The room recalibrates, not because of force, but because of certainty. Power doesn't come from being louder. It comes from refusing to reposition yourself beneath others. This is the inversion most people never make. You've been taught to adjust to the room, but the room is always watching to see who it must adjust to. The moment you stop asking for space and start occupying it, perception changes. And perception is the real battlefield. That's why confidence isn't built by feeling ready. It's built by acting in direct opposition to the version of you that hesitates. You move before comfort. You speak before doubt settles in. You hold eye contact a second longer than feels natural, not to dominate others, but to dismantle the reflex that keeps you small. Understand this clearly. The inner servant is not destroyed by thinking differently. It's destroyed by behaving differently repeatedly until the old pattern has no place to return. Every time you override hesitation, you weaken it. Every time you act without seeking approval, you rewrite your position in the hierarchy, first in your own mind, then in the eyes of others. And once that shift begins, it doesn't stay internal. It becomes visible in your posture, in your timing, in the way people hesitate before interrupting you. Weakness isn't your nature, it's your habit. And habits can be broken. Now we go deeper, because breaking the servant is only the beginning. Most people believe confidence is something you feel first, then express. That belief is exactly what keeps them stuck. Because if you wait to feel ready, you will always hesitate. And hesitation is visible. It leaks through your tone, your timing, your body. Others may not consciously notice it, but they respond to it instantly. This is the hidden mechanism. People don't evaluate your logic. First, they evaluate your certainty. If your delivery feels unstable, your message loses weight before it's even understood. That's why two people can say the same thing and only one gets followed. Watch a simple exchange. Someone challenges your idea in a meeting. The old version of you says, I think it could work, but I'm not sure. You soften the statement to protect yourself. But what you actually signal is doubt, and once doubt is detected, people stop treating your words as decisions, they treat them as suggestions. Now watch the disciplined version. Same situation, same challenge. You respond, calm, measured, that's not accurate. Then silence. No rush to justify, no emotional spike. And suddenly the frame shifts. Now they are the ones adjusting, the ones explaining. Because you didn't enter their frame, you held your own. This is where most men lose power without realizing it. They over-explain. They fill silence. They try to be understood, but every extra word is a leak. The more you talk, the more you reveal your uncertainty, your need, your position. And once people can read you, they can predict you. And once they can predict you, they can control the interaction without resistance. Silence, on the other hand, creates pressure. It forces others to interpret you without enough information. And in that ambiguity, they often overestimate your certainty. That's where control begins. You need to understand the difference between speaking to impress and speaking to decide. Most people speak to be liked. Their tone rises at the end of sentences. Their words sound like invitations. What do you think? Does that make sense? But when you speak to decide, your tone settles. Your words land. There's no upward inflection, no escape hatch. You sound like the conclusion, not the discussion, and people feel it before they process it. They don't argue as quickly. They pause. They adjust. Because conviction is more persuasive than explanation. This isn't about arrogance, it's about frame. You are no longer asking to be included in the conversation, you are shaping how the conversation moves. And the moment you internalize that, everything changes. Your pace slows. Your words become deliberate. You stop reacting to fill space and start using space to create weight. Power doesn't come from saying more. It comes from saying less with finality. And once your words carry weight, the next question becomes even more dangerous. Can you carry yourself the same way in silence? What happens when you stop speaking but still remain present? Most men disappear the moment they go quiet. Their silence feels empty, uncertain, almost apologetic. But there is another kind of silence, controlled, intentional, heavy. And that silence does something words never can. It forces people to project. When you don't reveal yourself, others start revealing themselves to fill the gap. They talk more. They explain more. They expose what they want, what they fear, where they stand. And without saying anything, you gain information they never meant to give. Look at the difference. You walk into a room and immediately try to engage, trying to prove value through conversation, trying to be seen. That's the old pattern. You're signaling, notice me. But the disciplined version does the opposite. You enter, you observe, you take your time before speaking. Your body is relaxed. Your movements unhurried. You're not scanning for approval, you're scanning for patterns. Who talks too much? Who interrupts? Who seeks validation? And while they perform, you remain still. That stillness creates tension, because people can't place you, and what they can't place, they can't control. This is the shift from chasing attention to creating gravity. When you rush, when you speak quickly, when you react instantly, you communicate urgency. And urgency lowers perceived value. But when you slow down your walk, your gestures, your responses, you communicate something else entirely. That you're not in a hurry, that nothing in this room is above you. And that assumption alone changes how others position themselves around you. They begin to adjust unconsciously. They wait for your reaction. They measure their words more carefully, not because you demanded it, but because your pace forced them to. There's a moment in every interaction where power is decided, and it rarely comes from what is said. It comes from who breaks first, who fills the silence, who rushes to explain. The one who holds still the longest controls the frame. Not aggressively, not loudly, but unmistakably. Because restraint is interpreted as control, and control is interpreted as power. Think about a simple scenario. Someone throws a subtle jab at you in front of others. The old version reacts, defends, laughs nervously, tries to smooth it over. But the controlled version does something different. He pauses, looks at them, says nothing for a second too long, then either continues the conversation or redirects calmly. No emotional reaction, no need to prove anything. And in that moment, the attention shifts not to what was said, but to how you handled it. That's where respect is built. Silence is not the absence of power, it is concentrated power. And once you master that stillness, you begin to see something most people never notice. Everyone else is constantly revealing themselves. If someone can provoke you, they can position you. That's the rule most people never question. You can master posture, tone, presence, but the moment your emotions become predictable, everything collapses. Because control is not tested when things go your way. It's tested the second something disrupts you. An insult, a dismissal, a moment of being ignored. That's where most men expose themselves, not through weakness of skill, but through lack of internal control. They react, and reaction is always a signal. It tells others exactly where your boundaries are, where your ego lives, where pressure can be applied next time. Watch how easy it is. Someone criticizes you. The old version defends. That's not what I meant. Someone praises you. You soften, you lean in, you want more. Someone pulls away. You chase, you try to re-engage. It's all predictable. And predictability is leverage. Because once people know what moves you, they don't need strength to control you, they only need timing. This is why Machiavellian control begins internally, not by suppressing emotion, but by disconnecting action from it. You still feel the reaction, but you don't express it automatically. You create a gap, and inside that gap, you decide. Now look at the same situations again. Someone insults you. Instead of defending you, observe. What are they trying to gain? Attention, dominance, reaction. You collect data instead of giving it away. Someone praises you. You don't attach to it. You analyze the timing. Why now? What do they want? Someone ignores you. You don't chase, you withdraw further. Not as punishment, but as positioning. And something interesting happens. The dynamic flips. You are no longer inside the interaction. You are above it, reading it, adjusting it. This is what it means to become psychologically unreachable. Not cold, not emotionless, but unhooked. Your mind is no longer a public space where anyone can walk in, press a button and get a response. It becomes a controlled environment, and that changes everything. Because manipulation relies on access. If people can't trigger you, they can't steer you. If they can't steer you, they lose interest in trying. And that's when you become dangerous, not because you attack, but because you can't be moved. There's a simple contrast that reveals everything. A man who needs to be understood explains. A man who controls himself observes. One leaks information, the other gathers it. One reacts to the frame, the other studies it and decides whether to enter at all. And over time, this difference compounds. People start to feel it. They become more cautious around you, more measured, because they can't predict your reaction anymore. And unpredictability, when controlled, creates authority. Emotions are not your enemy. Automatic expression is. And once you stop reacting on impulse, you gain access to something far more powerful: choice. Rejection is where most men collapse. Not because it destroys them, but because they interpret it incorrectly. They take it personally. They assume it reflects their value. And in that moment, they shrink, explain, or chase. But rejection was never about you. It was about position. People reject what they believe they can live without. That's all. It's not an emotional verdict, it's a calculation, and if you misunderstand that, you hand over control instantly, because the moment you react emotionally, you confirm that you needed the outcome more than they did. Watch the pattern. You reach out, you get ignored. The old version double texts, adds, explanation, tries to recover the moment. But what you're actually doing is lowering your position. You're signaling dependency. Now watch the disciplined response. Silence. No follow-up. No reaction. You withdraw your presence as if nothing happened. And suddenly the dynamic shifts, because absence creates weight. People only feel value when access is no longer guaranteed, not when it's constantly offered. This is the part most people miss. Power is not built by chasing acceptance. It's built by controlling access. You don't try to be included, you decide who gets proximity to you. And rejection becomes useful the moment you see it as information. It tells you exactly where you stand in someone else's hierarchy, not emotionally, structurally, and once you see that clearly, you can reposition yourself without noise. You don't argue with their perception, you outgrow it. Imagine this. You're overlooked for an opportunity. The old response questions, it tries to justify, seeks feedback to regain approval, but the controlled version does something colder. He steps back, builds quietly, improves visibility value leverage without announcing any of it. And when he returns, he doesn't ask for entry. He becomes the standard that others now have to explain why they ignored. No confrontation, no revenge, just evolution. And that's what creates discomfort in others, not your reaction, but your transformation. There's a reason this works. People are not loyal to who you were. They respond to who you become. And when your presence carries more weight than your words, you no longer need to correct anyone's perception. It corrects itself. That's why the comeback is never loud. It's precise, timed, almost invisible until it's undeniable. Rejection is not loss, it is clarity, and once you stop reacting to it, you stop being shaped by others and start shaping the outcome instead. You see it now. Confidence was never about feeling ready, it was about control. There will be a moment soon. Someone challenges you and you feel the urge to explain, to prove your point, to fix how they see you. Or someone pulls away and you feel the impulse to reach out, to restore the connection, to regain position. That pressure inside you will feel real, immediate, almost necessary. But that is the old pattern trying to survive, and when you don't react, something shifts. They start talking more, explaining more, adjusting their tone. You didn't win by force. You won by refusing to give them access to your reactions, because the one who controls himself controls the frame. This is the line you've crossed. From reaction to self-command, from impulse to discipline, from noise to clarity. You no longer chase perception, you decide it. You no longer respond automatically, you choose deliberately. If this changed how you see things, subscribe and comment. Silent strength. Because once you see it, you don't go back.